So once again, hello and welcome everybody to the webinar WorkPoint 365 and Microsoft Teams Better Together. My name is Florian Neuhold and I will guide you today through this webinar. I hope you will enjoy it and learn a few things. I think it's a very interesting webinar today. So today the topic will be presented from our CTO Dominick Cosgrove, and I'm happy that he is here and will present this very interesting topic. So if you have any questions, of course, please type in to the Q&As. I will for sure take care about it, and I hope that there will be a lot of questions we can answer it, and after the webinar we prepared a lot of time to answer these questions, of course. And also I will put in a form so you can fill out some feedback for us. So it's maybe for us very interesting to see your feedback and of course your wishes or ideas how we can be better in this way. So I hope Dom is ready, and maybe I put you on the screen first that you can say hello to everybody.
Perfect.
So here you are.
Perfect. Hi everyone, thanks Florian. As Florian said, I'm Dominick Cosgrove, I'm the CTO at WorkPoint, and I look forward to giving you our WorkPoint 365 and Teams Better Together presentation. It's a journey we've been on. I think we've got a lot of functionality within WorkPoint that you'll hopefully see real value to today.
Perfect. Then Dom, I will share your presentation and we can start right now.
Perfect, thank you. So today's webinar topic is WorkPoint 365 and Teams Better Together. We've been on a journey with Microsoft Teams, and we believe that we've introduced a lot of functionality into WorkPoint that really gives a strong story around Teams and our Teams integration. I think we've already done the introductions, but if I was on mute, I'm Dominick Cosgrove, the CTO at WorkPoint. My contact information is there, and obviously Florian has already introduced himself. So for anyone that's attended my webinars, I tend to start with the why. Why have we gone on this journey with Microsoft Teams? So I think we all have worked out that now Microsoft Teams has become the de facto collaboration platform on Microsoft 365. It is definitely the best platform within the Microsoft ecosystem to support remote working and hybrid working, and I think that's been essentialized through the whole pandemic. And what's very important for us is to be able to bring the tools that everyone's familiar with in WorkPoint and in Microsoft 365, but within the context of Teams, so they can use the tools that they want to use, and they don't have to do what I call context switching. So switching from SharePoint to Teams to Office, they can work in one location. So I kind of think this is bringing WorkPoint into Teams. I think there has been, due to the global pandemic, Microsoft Teams has been widely adopted in many organizations, but it's most probably been rolled out rather rapidly as a result of the pandemic. It's with little planning and sometimes little governance, and this has maybe caused the kind of wild west of Teams. Many organizations have also focused on, using unified comms, so calls and chat first, but leaving a lot of the value on the table. So, using all the files and collaboration tools that you have in Microsoft Teams. So we want to make that deployment or update of deployment as easy as possible. And we also have to learn from our history. WorkPoint comes from very much a SharePoint background and a Microsoft 365, but we're now moving into the Teams era, and we have to learn from the mistakes we may have made in the past, or organizations have made in the past, where we've had things like SharePoint sprawl. We can now see evidence that a lot of organizations are seeing things like Teams sprawl. So we just need to make sure that we're not doing the same mistakes again. So that's, for me, the why we've at WorkPoint have developed our team functionality. The how. So for this, I kind of touched on a few points and a few pains that I see quite common in Teams rollouts. But quite often you want to roll out Teams, but you want to control and put governance in without putting too many barriers on collaboration. So how do you control who can create a team while enabling collaboration? We don't want to put too many barriers in there. How do we ensure people have the right access to teams? So who are the team owners, who are the team members, making sure that we're compliant to our governance and saying that there must be a team owner or multiple team owners. It depends on your governance plans and your deployment plans. How do you make sure your teams have the same structure? So if you have a team for a project, making sure that all your project teams are aligned with the same structure, and I'll go into that more. How do you find teams easily? We normally work in organizations where you may work across multiple teams. The Teams interface is nice, very intuitive, but if you work across a lot of teams, it actually can be quite difficult to find the teams that you want to work with. What happens when a team comes end of life as well? Do you have a policy around archiving the team to make sure that you don't have teams out there that are causing noise, but also making sure that you have the governance to archive a team, maybe to say that, remove the permissions for people to edit. And how do you protect the information stored within teams? What governance do you have around who can work on the content, who can modify the content, who can add content to the team? And for me, one of the most important things is, can you do everything you need to do within Teams? And that's why I see WorkPoint and Teams being better together. And hopefully through the demonstration that I'll do shortly, you'll see the how. So the what, we have a number of features, and I'm not going to touch on all of these. I think I'll do that more through the demonstration, but we have a templating capability that allows you to configure channels, tabs, and the general settings for a team. We have a concept of a Teams directory where you can see all the teams and the teams that are related to yourself. We can control who can access a team, what's the membership, what's the security within a team. We also have Microsoft 365 is great and it gives you a lot of capability, but built on top of Microsoft 365, we have what we call our actions to control when a team may get created. So that may be a manual trigger where someone clicks a button to say, I want a team, but it could also be a change or stage in a project, or it could be about metadata that's on a case or a customer. We don't always want a team every time we go and create a project, because otherwise we'll end up with the Teams fool that I mentioned earlier. We can also trigger when something happens, so not only on actions but also on triggers. So when a field is set to approved, for instance. So I'll hopefully demonstrate that. And then finally, our WorkPoint app builder. This is very much about being able to create an app specific for Teams. So through that, we have kind of provisioning, we have templates, we have directories, and we have apps that build out your solution. So I think with that, I think you always learn more through a demonstration. So I will hopefully share my browser, and maybe Florian, can you just confirm that you can see Microsoft Teams in a browser?
I can definitely see all of your browser, so we are totally fine with this.
Perfect. So hopefully, if you know a little bit about WorkPoint is a very kind of structured product. We like to think of things in kind of terms of templates and having maybe customers and projects and cases, and maybe a project relates to a customer or a case relates to a customer. So we kind of build out this hierarchical model in WorkPoint that really kind of for the end user, they can understand easily. So I just want to give you a little bit of explanation if you're not familiar with the WorkPoint structure. Please, we have many other webinars and many other video content that kind of explains that in more detail, but it just gives a little bit of context to what I'm going to discuss today. So hopefully people who are attending this have some idea of Teams. I'm not going to go into all the Teams functionality, but I want to highlight where WorkPoint stands out in the Teams. So you notice in the Teams app launcher, I have approval tasks, I've got my chat, I've got my Teams and my calendar, but you'll notice that I've got 2 additional apps here. I'm going to start on this webinar app. This is one I created specifically for this webinar, and I'll show you later how I created the app. So if I click here, you can see that it's a webinar 2020 app. And straight away, you can see that there's a list of my customers, and I can have a list of my projects that I'm related to. And this list could obviously be quite big depending on your organization. So I have great functionality to maybe say, show me the latest projects, or show me a portfolio overview, or even just my projects. And these are the projects that I'm interested in. And if I go to all items, I can also do things such as filtering, and I can go, okay, well, show me the latest activity, or who's the project manager. So you've got great functionality to kind of, what I would say, search and filter within this directory of projects. And you have the same functionality under customers, and depending on your setup, your WorkPoint setup, you can build out your own sort of data model. Then I've added our WorkPoint search here. And here, this is our own custom or own feature where I can really kind of enhance the search capability. So maybe I want to look for a project related to Jabra. And I can see that there's this Jabra Speak, there's a Jabra customer as well, but I've also got this Elite Pro project, which is related to Jabra. So it's kind of gives you that rich functionality. And I've got things like show me my favorite projects or my favorites. I can actually go straight into maybe the Jabra Speak or the Elite Pro. And I'll show that a little bit later, and I can also search for things like, you know, documents as well within here. So as you can see, and I've got a lot of documents called presentation, but maybe I want to do oh, I can't spell, but as you can see, I can search within documents as well, and that's across your whole WorkPoint solution. So for now, I've been able to see the list of my current customers and projects, but maybe I want to go and create a project. So what I'm going to show to you today is hopefully that you don't have to leave Teams to do your standard WorkPoint functionality. So here I can click Create Project, and I get our project creation form. And this is completely configurable. So maybe I want to call this one Jabra Speak. For any of you that know what a Jabra Speak is, it's what I'm talking through. It's a desk phone. So maybe the project manager is me. I'm just putting me as project manager because of the security that I'm going to set up. And the team, maybe I have Alex in my team, Alex Wilbur, Megan, and Alan. So these are the people working my project. Hopefully. Okay. Eva does. Alex and Megan. Then I need to select which customer, and the customer will be Jabra in this case. And I obviously can put in, you know, what's the start date of the project today, what's the target completion date, maybe December, maybe I have a deadline for the project, etc. So I've got numerous. There's Alan, he did pop up in the end. So there's numerous things I can put in, and I've got project ID, which can automatically be filled in for me. So I can click Save. So that's now starting the creation. So if I go back to my projects list, my project directory, I can now see that the Jabra Speak is being created. So this is creating a project workspace for me. I will refresh because it should be hopefully fairly quick if the demo gods are friendly to me. So there I've got my Jabber Speak being created, but you'll notice that it's not teamified yet. It's all these other ones. And this is why I'm saying sometimes you don't want a team for all projects. So maybe for this case, I do actually want to go and create a team. So I can click on my Jabber Speak, and this is just one way of teamifying. We have a lot of ways, but this is what we call our manual teamification. So here you can see I've already got my my template created for my team, and I've got this button up here, which is a WorkPoint button called Teamify. I've configured this to go and set up a teamification. But what's that doing in the background is I don't want someone just to go and request it, to create a team. What I want to do is an approval process. So in this case, I've actually set it up, and you can see that there's a task being assigned to me. So if I go within Teams to my approvals, and if I look up at activity, I can see that there's a feed in my feed, that there's a request, and I can get the approval forms directly within Teams. But here I'm going to go to my approvals app, and I can see there's a request. So in this case, as maybe a coordinator or an admin person or a team's responsible, I can actually say, well, actually reject that. So in this case, I'm actually going to reject it. So you can see that the status has been rejected. And if I go back to my app and I look at my projects, I can see that the status of the team's request has actually been rejected. So obviously the team isn't going to get created, but in this case now I do want them to be able to, so I can actually resubmit my approval request. And hopefully in a second I should get an activity. Okay, that's one's rejected. Come back to approvals. So I've got a new request, and this time I'm going to approve it. So that's being approved. So WorkPoint in the background is creating a team based on a project template. So that'll take a minute or two. So what I would expect when that's created and being provisioned is the Jabber Speak team. So I can already see that that's been provisioned. So now from my directory, I can go straight to that team. I'm just going to stay within the browser. If I scroll down, you can see what I mean about Teams navigation isn't the best, but we have down here our Jabber Speak. What you'll notice is it's actually being built based on a template. So I have these channels, I can go and make them visible. 3 hidden, and show that one. And this is completely configurable. I can say that these should be shown by default. So I can see that these are all my channels within my general channel, which is a standard default one that Microsoft always provide. I can see that Microsoft always have the post files and wikis, but I've added another 2 tabs as well to my template. So not only channels, but also the tabs. So if I go to my home, I'll see the home page of my project site. And I can see my project information card. I can see all the information here. I have a way of navigating Teams. I can see that there's no appointments. And I can see that already for my project, I have standard documentation folders already created for that. But also I have a tab for tasks. So these are the tasks related to the projects. And if I click risks, I have a page specific to the risks. So I can see what my environmental, geopolitical, reputational risks are with our risk matrix. So I can see that there's 2 that are both medium probability and severity and have a risk score of 9. And I only have 1 risk, which is of a high severity and high probability. So as well as the tabs and the channels, I can also look at the settings. So if I go into manage teams, you can see that I'm the owner, because that's what I configured WorkPoint to do, set me as the owner, as the project manager, so the project manager will always be the owner. But I can also see that Megan, Alex and Alan have been set as members to the project. But there's other settings that we also manage. So settings under here, maybe I want to see what members can do. So members aren't allowed to add or remove apps or to delete or restore channels, but they are allowed to upload customized apps. So you can kind of come in here and say, what can a member do versus a admin person? So we manage all these settings for you in the team creation. Obviously, if you change these settings as well, because obviously you will adapt as you change your governance, we can replicate out those changes as well. And if you add new tabs or channels, we replicate those out as well. Okay, so we've obviously got the ability to go and find projects within our project directory, within our app. But sometimes you want to actually do it within the context of maybe a chat. So if I come here and I can actually ask my app to do something for me. So my app is called Webinar 2020, and maybe I want to ask it to go and find me a project. Now, while I would like to think that SharePoint indexing is very quick, or Microsoft 365, it may not have picked up my new Jabra, but we'll see. No. So I'll go for an existing project. It normally takes a minute or so, but there you can now see a nice display of a card showing information about the project. So I'm looking up and searching for a project within the context. So maybe I'm chatting to Megan about a project and she's saying, where's that project and can I have a new project? So one thing that this is WorkPoint also giving you the flexibility and ability to design your cards and add actions to your cards, which isn't standard within Microsoft 365. But maybe Megan's actually asked me to go and create a project. So very similar to what I did previously, I can go at WorkPoint, at Webinar. I can say create at Webinar, create project, and it brings up that same creation dialog that I showed you earlier. I won't go and create another one, but you can see that it's exactly the same experience. I can also go and click the icon here, and I can bring in and I can start searching for my projects within my project search, and I can also go and click add to go and create a project. So there's multiple ways that you can get to the creation process. Maybe in the case here, I want to do an edit. I can click edit and I could go and add someone to that project, maybe to the team members. So likewise, I can come here and do search WorkPoint. Search for Jabra. Do edit properties. And I can, okay, it's gone back to the standard SharePoint, but so we've created a project, we've shown our directory functionality, but maybe we also want to put a project to being archived. So I have my Lead Pro 7 is currently being in use and has come to end of life. So if you're familiar with WorkPoint, we have our stage model, and what I set it up to do is say, when it changes from active to closed, go and archive that project. So apologies about this, I just have to run through our stage wizard. So that should go from idea to analysis. We can go from analysis to planning. And I could have shortened the stage model. Change stage. Oh, sorry, I didn't change the to active. There we go. And finally, I want to go and close my project. Change stage and change it to closed. So this is the real power of WorkPoint, having our staging models and triggering actions on the staging model. So now it's going to go into closed. And in the background, WorkPoint is going to go and archive the team. So if I now go to Teams, it may take a minute or two. I do go to the web app. In a second, that team will be marked as archived. We'll come back to that because it does take a second or two to archive it. So there we go. This team has been archived, so you can't make changes. So we've actually removed all the permissions and archived the team so that people can't change the content within the team. So you can see that the team was archived. You can't post to it anymore. So that's showing archiving. So I wanted to just take you through a few configurations. I'm conscious that, within the time that we have allotted today, I'm not going to be able to show you any of the deep configurations. Please contact us or contact your partner to understand more of what we can do. But I wanted to show you, and one thing hopefully you've seen is I haven't actually left Microsoft Teams at all to do any of these use cases. So for projects, I can show you if I go to the webinar. This is not something you'd normally have set up, but I can see my master. I'll just go to the team there. And this is our Teams template. Let's scroll down. And here you can see that this is the template for the team. I can see the stages. I can go into, I can see the tabs that I had set up. So home, tasks, risks, and I can see what my settings were. So I can go into manage teams and I can see that on the master team, I deselected 3 of the options out of the options you have under membership permissions. So the idea is you can create very tailored Teams template for things like your projects, your cases, your employee files, all your different types of business scenarios. So that's the master team. How did we configure that to be created? So in our admin portal, you can go to the not top panel, my tools, and under projects, I created a Teamify action, which you can see triggers a manual trigger which triggers an action which is called teamification approval. So how do you set up the approval? So in this case, I've set up my action management. And here I have a teamification approval which starts a flow, and the flow is very simple flow. That doesn't look like flow. We go to Power Automate. Oh, it does look nice. Sorry, apologies, wrong flow. My flows, and I can see there's an approved team notification, and this is triggered by our WorkPoint action. So this occurs when a WorkPoint event occurs, and you can see that I created an approval process. And then I have, once a team is approved, I have a create approved teams, which is a teamify action, which I have set up here to teamify, and I've said only go and create a team when it's been approved. So you have the approval part, and then you have the creation based on the fact that it's been approved. You can also see here that I've also got an archive team, which is an action which archives. You can also unarchive. So if you wanted to open up a team, you can. But basically what I have set up here is based on the transition in the stage model from active to close. You go and execute the archive team. And finally, I wanted to show very quickly that WorkPoint has a very strong security model. So if I go and have a look in my security settings, I have two Office 365 groups. Teams is based on Office 365 groups, and I can see that I have what we call our dynamic rules. So based on the project manager, who's assigned project manager, make them the owners, and who's in the team, make them members. So this is all managed for you. So if you go and change your project manager or you change the team, that will ensure that their membership is updated. So finally, I wanted to quickly show you the app that I created. I'm still here. So this app is built through the WorkPoint builder for Microsoft Teams. And it's very, very configurable, as is the kind of the bot functionality that I showed you, such as this webinar functionality. So how did I actually build this? One thing is we build it without any code. So we actually have a WorkPoint builder app, where you can see that I have a webinar 2021. That's an app that I created previously, but just for now, I'll go and create a new one. And the only thing I need is the WorkPoint solution URL. And I can just enter this and validate it. It says it's valid. And now I can go and start adding my app details. So I could go, you know, my PMO app. Team. I can give it a short description. Team and a long description. Like going into things, I can customize my branding. So if I don't want to use the WorkPoint logo, you can actually bring in your own icons that would appear here in the apps launcher. So now I can go and add my tabs. So maybe I want to go and show a list of my projects. PMO, it makes sense. So I can go and select projects, and maybe I only want to show the portfolio overview. And maybe I want to go and create another tab called My Projects. And I select projects again, and I show my projects. So I can add one or more tabs. Maybe I want to go and add the create project. So create project. And in this case, I select entity and I select projects. And finally, maybe I want the WorkPoint search. And in this case, I can say search entities. So that's all very configurable. I can also add the message extensions. So the message extensions was where I added this ability to go and find a project or create a project. So here I can go and create search WorkPoint. And I give the command a title, so search projects. I can do an entity search, and I can say, do I want it in the command box or in the compose box? And likewise, I can go and add a WorkPoint wizard. Great. Create an entity and of type project, and I want to be in the compose, command, and message box. So once I've done that, I can come and if I wanted to support Danish or Norwegian or French, I can come in here and add language files to that as well. And then finally, I can go and package and distribute it. So I can download this, and what I'll do is download a file to my PC. You'll see here. So what I can do now is go to my apps, and I can go and either upload it, depending on your rights, you can go and upload as a customized app or submit to the app catalog, or as an administrator, I may want to make it available to everyone. So rather than, I can come here and upload my app. I've got my PMO app now, and I can click on it. I can go and add that app. So you can see without any code, very quickly, within minutes, I can actually go and create a very rich application for the users that allows them to not only search directories and create directories, but also be able to go and create projects and to be able to search within WorkPoint. So hopefully I've just shown you, and apologies, I know it's very quick, but the idea of this is to give you a whirlwind tour of everything we do within WorkPoint. Just to summarize a few of the things that I've kind of shown within this demo was, everything was done within Teams. I didn't leave Teams or the Teams app. I created a team and I went through an approval process to ensure that it goes through the governance and the control that I wanted it to. The team was created off a template, and you can have different templates for different modules. So a project may be different to a case, may be different to a HR file, may be different to a customer. I showed the creating of the Teams app with no code within minutes, and obviously depending on your organizational governance and structure, I can either deploy it through Teams administration to everyone, or I may only want the PMO app to be available to those people in the project department. So you can create multiple apps and deploy them to different people. So we imagine that any one organization may have one or more WorkPoint apps. I've also shown you that through WorkPoint, we can also manage not only the settings of the teams, but also the security. So if you want to change the project team, you can do that, and you don't have to be you don't have to do that directly within the Teams interface, and it then honors the governance that you want to put in place. And also then finally showed the archiving of the team. So when a team is no longer required, it's a good practice to archive the team. So that's it from a demo. I'll step back to my slides and then we'll get to the question and answers, because I've got a few things to touch on. So We do have a roadmap. Obviously, we're keen to bring more and more of the WorkPoint functionality into Teams. We see that this is the way Microsoft is going, so it's very strategic for us to align with the Teams. We've obviously had WorkPoint in Outlook, we've had WorkPoint in SharePoint, and now we're having WorkPoint in Teams. We'll introduce more actions and triggers. You'll hear in the future about our new process management framework. That's going to be very key to a lot of our automations, and we see Teams as being part of that automation journey. We'll be working on sort of the intelligence and the responses back from our bot. As I said, like when I was creating a team, it sent me back a card. Maybe I can interact with that card a little bit more. And obviously, we're looking for more deeper integrations as we go along our Teams journey. Just some top 5 guidance on Microsoft Teams and pre-deployment. You've got to think about things like your naming conventions and when a team, who can create a team and when a team should be created. So whether that's part of your life cycle of your case or your project, or whether that's a manual trigger, but who can actually start and execute that and who can do the approvals. So you need to think about those sort of things. You need to think about your team's template. How would a project template look within your organization? What's your team's policies and expiry configurations, and what level of control do you want the users to have? Do you want them to be able to expire, or is it something that happens based on more of a kind of an approval process, or do you want to be able to send a message or a chat message to the owner of the team when it becomes approved, when it comes to time to expire? Maybe that's on the project delivery date. When that's being passed, you want to ask the project manager, should I expire the team? And then also the ongoing monitoring and maintenance of your teams, having that Teams directory functionality, archiving the teams. How do you manage orphan teams? So, we have all the tools to provide you with this rich capability. The next steps, please go and review our documentation. If you already have access to, please contact us as well. If you're new to WorkPoint and you want more information, we're more than happy to discuss what your strategy is, what your requirements are. It's important to, when you're thinking about Teams deployments, work with your stakeholders, understand their pains, understand what they want to achieve, what does success look like. With Teams, it's always kind of, people want to deploy Teams and get it out there, but sometimes it's better to actually do it in increments, start with a small use case and then build out against your team strategy. Stay up to date with our new capabilities. We are constantly updating the product. We provide newsletters, these webinars, and most importantly to me is provide us feedback. I know Florian's going to share with you a feedback form. The more feedback we get, the better the product can be, the better the webinars can be. We're constantly looking for ways to improve, looking at those different use cases. I think we have a lot of that covered, but we can always do more. So please provide us with your feedback. And finally, to Q&As. So,
thank you very much, Dom. This was very impressive and a very good presentation. So thank you for this. And we have quite a lot of questions as well. So I will start just from the bottom, and then we go through these questions maybe. So the first one is WorkPoint requesting a specific Microsoft Office 365 license plan?
We don't. No, you can use it on a business. Typically, it's enterprise plans, but it doesn't have to be an enterprise plan. It really depends on your requirements and your business use case, but we don't. We tend to say enterprise, but it's not a prerequisite.
Okay, I think we go further on. So, can a project and the related team be created through a mobile device?
Yeah, so the Teams app that I showed is mobile friendly, so you can create an app that allows someone to create a team from a mobile device. So the answer is yes. And just on that, we are seeing that Teams is becoming, that mobile interface for people. So we are seeing that, and you'll see through our process management framework that'll be coming out next year. We're really focusing on the fact that it needs to be very mobile and Teams aware.
So thank you very much. The next question is a very long one. So be prepared, Dom. So how to manage the set of projects and their related teams within a multiple locations organization where local user want to see only the project or the team for their own location, and some corporate positions all project teams globally. This is so long I did not even recognize or remember. So maybe I can send it to you as well in a message, in a Teams message, so it's easier for you as well, because it is really long.
No problem. It is most probably a good question, and maybe something that please contact us directly to discuss the use case. But obviously, I showed things like filtering of views, but also we can do things such as with security, setting the security dynamically. We kind of showed that capability, or I touched on that capability. So you could actually set up something where it puts in an organizational structure to secure what you should see versus what you shouldn't see. So kind of permission based. But yeah, I'd like to know a little bit more about that use case. I see where it's coming from, in the fact that, many organizations will only want, say, Asia Pacific region to see their projects versus the Americas.
I sent it also to you in a Teams message, but I think this is quite nice. And also, if it's if you are more interested, we can definitely make the contact and make this directly, because like you said, we are very interested in use cases. So
I guess another way, and apologies, Florian.
No problem.
Thinking through and reading the message, you can also create an app per region, and then you could actually say, okay, well, show me the Asia Pacific projects related by views or filters. So there's multiple ways of addressing that use case.
Very, very good. So we have one more question there. Is there any limitation in number of projects or cases, like, for example, typically the maximum 5,000 items in SharePoint, or is there any limitation in project and cases?
The short answer is we've built WorkPoint to scale and scale well beyond the 5,000 item limit of SharePoint. So we do have some features. I won't go into them today, but we have features that allow you to, have hundreds of thousands of projects and cases. So we do have features around that, and we even have features to support security, because while there's SharePoint lists limits of 5,000 items, more the issue comes if you're trying to secure those lists to say these are the permissions I want. So yeah, we definitely have solutions to that, and we can scale, and we do have customers that have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of cases and projects.
Perfect. So until now we have not no more questions in the Q&As. So I think we answered a lot of questions, and I hope everybody get their answers. If not, like we spoke before, we are more than thankful and happy to get directly contacted, you or me or service support. So that's every time possible. Our webpage, of course, there are a lot of informations as well on it. So we are very happy. Go on our webpages, see also our newest events. So we have on the Thursday, the 13th of October, we have a contract management solution with WorkPoint 365. And next webinar, we are very looking forward to this as well. So, oh, I saw we have one question more. No, we have just thanks for all the pretty clear answers. Looks I'm the only one who asking. No, not really. I hope so not. But we are very happy for your questions. And I'm very happy that we can answer them. So thank you, Dom, for your clear answers, I have to say, because you answered the questions. So like I said, we have new webinars on our homepage. I hope you you can join us as well. And thank you very much, Dom, for your presentation again. And all of you, thank you very much and have a nice day. And I hope we will see us in the next webinar. Bye.
Thank you very much.